So we're going to do a little price prediction of Dogecoin because why not? Everyone's talking about it, and we're going to cover some cryptocurrency news. So hi everyone, welcome to the channel. If you're new, make sure you've subscribed, hit the bell button, leave a like. Now, we need to talk about Dogecoin. I mentioned it yesterday. It's crazy that it's in rank 5. Mentioned it months ago when the first wave kind of, boom, hello. Everyone on my video, when I talked about it and explaining what you should know about Dogecoin, there's a link up here somewhere to one of the videos. You'll find it. Saying that, how it kind of works. It's a bit different to other cryptocurrency. It doesn't have a solid utility. It doesn't have a maximum supply. It kind of keeps growing. Doesn't make it sound money, but it is, in some ways, a sound currency to move things around. And you're going to see in that video why that's kind of apparent. Now, when we talk about it, it's mental, it's crazy, 61 billion market cap, unbelievable. And it is one of the old school cryptocurrencies that have, done very, very well over time, even with very, very limited development. Now, when you start talking about considerations, if you are an investor and a long-term investor, you've got to be careful with it because that maximum supply level, and if the hype does die down, it will probably suffer the most losses because of the increased supply of it. So, why am I talking about it today? So, we're talking about it because, obviously, beautiful dog, as you can see. Price flies due to eToro listing it. Now, a lot of people are starting to list it, not so much due to the fundamentals of the coin, but because of money. Sorry, said it. So eToro, yeah, at the end of the day, all they want is money. And why? You're probably wondering this, well, why? But popularity, people want it. What do exchanges get? When you buy, they get some sort of fee. It does say no fees, but there is always some sort of fee involved in any exchange. So remember that. But is it a bad thing? No. Is it good for adoption of crypto? Yes. A lot of people are now in the space because of Dogecoin, right? It's just one of those things, it happens, right? It happened back in the previous bull run. I remember a lot of people got involved in the space due to some random coins that just pop, like Vechain, for example. It just gets one of those things. But at the end of the day, as long as you understand the risk balance of buying into Dogecoin, that is fine. But we will talk about other cryptocurrency news that will make things more apparent in this video. So don't worry, it's not all about Dogecoin. The next thing we need to talk about is this. Major Baseball, right? Major League Baseball even sells pair of tickets for 100 Dogecoin each. This is like, I was not expecting this. When you think about Dogecoin as a currency, yeah, you expect the normal person to use it. But a major baseball team, essentially, I don't know how big they are. I'm from the UK, obviously. But it's still a big thing, and it obviously gets big headline news. And that's pretty crazy to think that that is kind of the hype cycle that we're in right now, that maybe others will follow. And we talked about it just before, money, popularity, PR. The hype is there, the audience is there, the people there. This is probably one of the reasons why I'm doing a video on Dogecoin, just to kind of put a few things out there. But when we talk about it, there is better cryptocurrencies out there with better technology. There is better things for longer, better longevity in the space for an investment. But you can make money off this very, very easily, whether you're a firm, whether you're an exchange, whether you're an individual buying this. So that's where the thing is. That's why it's very, very apparent. Now, the video title states price prediction. And this is a BTC pair of it. Now, I put this on my chart a few weeks ago. I got one on the USD as well. Huge impulse, monster run, right? Pulled back, we're off on its next leg, right? This is where we want to see where it goes. Where does it go next? Now, today is a bit of a bearish day. Not for Dogecoin. Dogecoin's just doing its thing. And this is the importance of a life cycle of a coin. It's currently up 12% on the BTC pair and 9% in the USD pair. Currently 48 cents in US metric. But at the end of the day, this could go much higher. If this does achieve this, let's just say achieve the top extension, another 40% on top of the price, it's getting very, very close to that very, very interesting $1 mark, if you think about it. So we are just, getting interesting now, isn't it? Getting very, very interesting. So, again, this was more of a better version, and you can just zoom up a little bit, 69, 70 cents. But you got to think, if Bitcoin goes to all-time high from this point and maybe higher, it will definitely, if the BTC pair does its thing and it carries on going to that extension level, you're more than likely going to see $1 Dogecoin, which is absolutely crazy at the end of the day. Crazy. But if you've been listening to my stuff, I've always said it. Expect things to go higher than you think. Expect things to go lower than you think. So just be careful of one thing, and I've said it. With the Dogecoin hype cycle that we're currently in, be careful of one thing. This supply is continuously growing, right? Just be careful. There's no cap on it. So if the hype goes and this volume disappears, expect the price to fall. Likewise, if the hype is still there, expect the price to keep rising. It's just supply and demand. But the fundamentals are clear. There's a few things that do not sit well with maximum supply coins. You just don't know when they're going to stop. And if the hype cycle goes, guess what? You are holding it back. Now, next bit of information. Let's talk about Vechain. Important. New patent could help offset carbon emission. Now, this is kind of important. Huge thing in the world. Carbon. It's a big problem. Huge elements of just future element with vehicles, whether it's factories, waste, everything, right? So this is one thing that could aim to help it. And you can see this in terms of carbon layer, all kinds of behaviors, unique ID, blockchain, transaction receiver, blockchain node, a request of a transaction service, a carbon credit execution, A lot of things to kind of keep an eye on. And if we're talking about tracking of carbon, cool. So greenhouse gases are causing global warming, all that kind of horrible, nasty stuff. And we've seen it in the pandemic, realistically, when you think about it. In the pandemic, which was interesting, that I found interesting anyways, I don't know about you, when everyone was in lockdown, that kind of cleared up the air a little bit. It made things look a bit better. And I think this is a sort of thing that kind of is going to come out the back of it in terms of like, we know now the facts, we know what is causing those problems. And this could be one element to kind of help track it and be able to kind of, not so much police it as much, but to understand how much carbon's getting in the nature and in the world. And if they can kind of build a technology on a smart contract to allow people to know what's happening, that's a big thing. And you can see here, present disclosure and safe credible recording of carbon data may be achieved. So it's huge. It's realistically, that's a big thing to know that you can actually properly record it. And blockchain's trackable. You can't mess with it, can you, realistically? Moving on to the next bit is Bitcoin. Now, I spoke before recently just about potentially if Bitcoin goes even higher, we may well see some ridiculous USD prices of coins, but you've got to remember the dominance chart, you've got to remember your Satoshis, try and keep as many as you can. Now, the next leg could be on its way up to 100k. Doesn't seem like that far away when you think about it, but at the end of the day, it's not. Like, when you think about some of the parabolic moves that Bitcoin can do in a week or a month, you know, another 40-50% on top of the price is like, whoa, hello a minute. We need to take notice here that 100k level isn't that far away. It's literally only 80% away. So when we think about the previous cycles and bull runs and stuff like that, technically we're still on its path and it's still on its journey to that. So what to expect now? Well, for me, in my opinion, if Bitcoin is going to go for a run, we've got to be careful of, obviously, the dominance chart. The dominance chart, as we've kind of said loads of times, it is dropping like a stone. It could go lower, and I hope it does go lower. I hope this run for Bitcoin is delayed so I can then put some money into Bitcoin for it to kind of pop, and then even more value appreciation in my assets, and then I can come back to altcoins when things settle down a bit. But it's fueled by other news like this. eBay is saying, we're looking to accept Bitcoin. We're looking to do, exploration of NFTs and stuff like that. Massive platform. And if they do accept cryptocurrencies, and you got the likes of Dogecoin as well, you got the likes of Litecoin, there's currencies that are probably going to get used by a big establishment because they are a currency at the end of the day. But Bitcoin as well could be monstrous realistically when you think about it. And we're starting to talk about, obviously, Shopify, Newegg embracing the new technology, and eBay probably to follow. And if eBay follow, who's going to follow it next? Amazon? Other big, massive, commercially viable companies that take money on a very, very, very high volume nature. And that's the thing. There's so many companies now that are like, oh, and this is where it annoys me that everyone does it. Whenever things are green, good and rosy, everyone wants to be involved, but they don't think about it in 2018, 2019 when things are rubbish. It's like, realistically, if they took Bitcoin and crypto or whatever back in those days, they'd be massively well off now. And we've seen it with Tesla and other companies as well. It's just, I don't know, it's that mindset, it's that risk element. It's interesting to think about it. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, you're going to see probably a lot more of this sort of thing, digital currencies, blockchains, all kinds of stuff like that, certainly with like obviously new added Dogecoin. But if we're going to see the likes of Bitcoin integration with the likes of eBay, pretty big at any level. Then finally, Mastercard is adding 6 startup accelerators. Now this is quite a big bit of news, including blockchain payment providers. Now we talk about Visa, we talk about Mastercard, right? All the time we go, wow, if these take it, woo, it's going to be very, very interesting. Now, the fact of a distributed ledger for these guys is probably pretty important versus anything else, realistically. They're looking for that, and you've already seen it here. Accelerator program for fintech startups has welcomed 6 new companies innovating in the fields of software as service, transactions, and blockchain payments. Now, blockchain, we all know, is a buzzy word, but when we start thinking about the fact of how Mastercard works, even how Visa works, a blockchain is pretty much where the next step technically is. I already see it here. Mastercard is making a big push into blockchain technology with its smart path participants. That's huge. And when you think about one of the major companies that lead a 65 million raise, that's an Ethereum-based company, by the way. So that's huge. That's massive. It's going to still change the outlook of why people are in this space and why people want to be invested in it. But value appreciation is not going to come from the likes of Mastercard, it's going to come from the usage. But people will always listen and talk, and especially when things are green, as I say, they will jump on the bandwagon, and it always happens. So there you go, enjoy. When are we going to see a $1 Dogecoin? Let me know in the comments if you think that's going to happen or when it's going to happen and if it's going to sustain. I personally don't think it's going to sustain, but it will be a monstrous achievement nonetheless.